Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. I'll jump in and get started here in just a moment. Just looking to do some refactoring and updates to the Next.js project that I have on screen. For those that may have been following along, you are aware this is a online ordering application where users have the ability to order food from a restaurant online, and from there we have some additional features to kind of enhance the user experience and just make that process a little easier. But I'm gonna go over it here in just a second. Just want to make sure I don't have any issues on my end. No, I tried to go live last night and didn't have a whole lot of success, but we're gonna try it again today. I appreciate everyone's support and staying tuned and hanging out for a little bit. And I'm about to get started here. Appreciate everyone hanging out. All right, so just to kind of recap of what we have and where we are and what we're looking to get accomplished, have a full stack Next.js 15 project. I have well, actually, you know what? I think I can do a full screen view for just a moment. Let me see something here. I don't know why she. Give me 1 second. There we go. So what I have is a full stack Next.js 15 application that I have affectionately named Dockside Bites. This is a somewhat of a clone of a local restaurant that I like to visit from time to time. But I thought that this would be a cool little project to build, add some enhancements, and look, maybe even showcase this in a portfolio, or maybe even to a potential client to say, hey, this could be something that a service or a product that we could that I could extend and build to you. But anyway, what we have is a application named the Dockside Bites, and basically it is a seafood restaurant. We have login capability using auth.js, and of course I'm using Google OAuth as the provider. So right now we currently are not logged in, but I'll show you what it looks like once we're logged in and some of the capabilities we have at that point. But from the home window, not logged in, we have a simple banner or a hero section that just kind of talks about the restaurant, our address, what time we open, and then there's a link for more information. And we'll build out that at a on a later date. And then we have the filter section where we have the ability to pick the category that we'll like to eat from. And we also have the ability to search, and we could distinguish between pickup or delivery. In fact, last time I think we added the ability to pick up food, and eventually we'll add some logic with that as well, so that if you are picking up a food or if you're distinguishing that it's delivery, then you get a different experience if you are just paying online and you're going to pick the food up yourself. So we'll add that in later. But with this, what we have is just a simple model that we made, and we use Daisy UI and Tailwind CSS to kind of help with this. And from the model, you have the ability to either have the ability to enter in your zip code to see if we offer delivery in your area. Eventually, I may connect this to using a Google location or some other location map provider. You need to do a little homework on it and just confirm the pricing and all that good stuff, and if it even makes sense to do. But that is something that I'm considering to do to make it dynamic and just to kind of give it a little more of a real world field, if you will. But once you enter in a zip code, if you enter in a zip code that matches one of our 5 or 3 zip codes I think we have, then you'll continue down the path of delivery. And if you don't have that zip code, then of course it'll say we don't deliver in your area. So I'm going to enter 5 ones. Or is that 6? Yeah, that's 5 ones. And we get the message that sorry, delivery is only available within our area. But if I did a zip code that is part of the deliverable list, and did I pick 1? 3, 1. Yep, great. We can deliver to your area. So then at that point, we'll give the user the ability to go down the path of delivery, and they can have their food delivered to them if they choose to pay and check out and all that good stuff. And eventually, we'll add the ability to kind of track your order to say, hey, because I'm going to build an admin dashboard with it as well. I've built the UI of it with the previous project. I just got to add some basic logic. Of course, the categories will be simple CRUD. The menu items are going to be a little different. The orders is done by an order, so it's a little more complex than just a regular CRUD app. But for the most part, it's all CRUD or some form of relational database connection. But anyway, we'll be utilizing that and we'll build that out later. But eventually, with the front end ordering of the application, bless you, you have the ability to keep track of your order to see it's been confirmed, it's being prepared, it's picked up, it's out for delivery, and then delivery. I think those are the 5 stages that you typically see. So we'll just stay consistent with that and give the user the ability to see that. And I think I like the ability to send an email as well too. So a lot of cool features that we're going to add with it eventually. So I hope that you find this entertaining and stick with it. But that's basically what the delivery option does. And then with categories, all of this is server side rendered. So we're staying true to Next.js and how it is designed to route and its caching capabilities. I did do some opting out of caching in some places, but for the most part, I kept it so it's a faster end user experience. So even with the category, and I'll go over how this is built maybe tomorrow at a later time. I'll just do a regular video on that. But with the categories, if you select a category, like let's just say we select shrimp, we see that we get shrimp showcased there, and then we get a message back that this item in the category, no items in this category yet, please pick a different one. We pick clams and oysters, we get the same thing. And notice that the URL is updating. That's basically where we are getting the information that's going to allow us to see what's in the category or filter the category. We're basing on the URL parameters. But if we select lobster, we know that we have 2 items in the database that have lobster in the title. And I didn't, I seeded the database with this information because I hadn't connected a admin dashboard just yet to build it out. You know, I like to do little fun, interactive um, interfaces for things. So I haven't built out what the admin. I know the dashboard will look like, but just like the actual way that we add things to it may make it a little more interactive than normal. So I'll showcase that eventually. But for right now, we just seeded this into the database. So if you click on lobster, you then get a window that pops up, and this is the exact same experience that you get at the restaurant that I emulated. Look, feel, check size, etc. You have the ability to choose the size of the order that you want. So if you want a small order of lobster, a medium or large, you'll just pay the price difference for it. And I think the next add-in that I'm gonna do is have this add the cart button update dynamically. That will require some client-side code. So I have to kind of think through that and make sure that it makes sense and how I want to utilize it to enhance the experience. But anyway, let's just say we want to select live lobsters. They come in a small as a 1.25 pound. We're gonna go up to medium for extra dollar. And then we have the ability to add in extra add-ons, one of them being extra green onions. It was on the website. If you're like me, you're not an onion fan, so we certainly won't be adding in any onions. But there are people that like onions, so we need to sell them. And then we have extra vegetables, which are $1. If you want to add some extra vegetables with the meal, you can do that. And notice that we have the check animation where it just gives a little bit of a animate in versus a standard click and check just to enhance the experience, or you can pick extra meat. So we'll pick extra meat. And we also have the ability to leave special instructions as well. We have the ability to leave special instructions. Now, this isn't a place that you want to add in food as we indicated right here. But let's just say that I want let's just say for the instructions, we want all sauces on the side. That'll be something that we would want to put in the special instructions. And then we can toggle the quantity of this order. Right now it is currently just set to 1, but we can always go up to 2, 3, however many we want. And then you notice, like I was saying earlier, it'll be pretty cool if this adjusted while I was adding it. And if it doesn't adjust, I may just change the verbiage of this so that it appears a little different. But I just think it'd be better if we could dynamically pass the total. But if we click add to order, it is then added to the order summary listed here on the far right. And as you notice, there is no page refresh with this. All of this is server rendered. And to maximize, what's going on, Mr. Johnson? How you doing, my friend? Hope you had a good day, man. I appreciate the continued support as always. And hopefully I'm providing value back to you as you are always supporting me. So I appreciate it. But this is server rendered, so we're not going to get any page refreshes, and we don't have to worry about so much of the lag experience that we get with client side render code. Like I said, everything is server rendered, but we have the ability to modify or update our order from this order summary window. So let's just say that we realize the price is $53.98 before tax, and that might be a little more than we wanted to spend this evening on food. Excuse me. So we have the ability to update the cart by removing the item. So let's just say we're gonna get rid of the medium, and we just decided that we're gonna split. We're gonna keep the medium, and we're gonna keep the one with the extra meat, but we're just gonna split this meal with our significant other versus buying personal ones. We'll click remove item, and then notice no page refresh. We had a loading animation while we waited until this was done. And then from there, the cart is updated, the pricing is updated, and then now we see that it is only $27.99. That's a little more budget friendly and what we were looking to pay. So at this point, we'll go ahead and check out. So if we click on the checkout button, it's going to redirect us to our cart. And notice that it reads cart right there. So all this. This is going to be my next project, Train Track. It is a online ordering, but not online ordering, a online music sharing platform. I think that's what I want to build next. I got the idea from a friend of mine at work, so I think I'm gonna take a stab at it once I finally complete this out. But you from this window, you have the ability to place your order. And notice you see you have the order. You can review it here. It's $27.99. Everything looks good. You can update the cart should you choose to. After you reviewed your order, if you realize, and I was going to change the placement of this, but I think it should remain here because you want people to see their order first. And then I'll say, hey, you know what? I think I need a little more food, or maybe I want to get some sides that I didn't include, and I can just click on continue shopping, and it'll take me back to the home window where I can review the items that are available for me to add in. But let's just say that we want to go ahead and move forward. We get the order summary right here. Here's the subtotal. I kept the tax at 8.8%. This can be adjusted based upon the tax amount in the area. I think Georgia or where I'm located is 9%, but I'm not I can't remember. I don't know. Whatever the bill comes to, I just pay it. I don't really keep up with it as I probably should, and that doesn't mean anything other than me being negligent. But you notice that we have a little banner down here at the bottom that says that we must be signed in to proceed with payment. I put this option in, and I know that you don't always have to, and I could remove it. I know you don't always have to capture someone's information, especially an email, if you are looking to order their food. Because all I really care about is that you pay your money. If you pay your money, then you can get your food. But if you don't pay your money, then you don't get food. But I just figured it'd probably make it a better experience on the back end if we just ask that user to be authenticated. And then from there, now we'll go ahead and log in with auth.js using Google OAuth, and we'll click on sign in. Notice we got a slight animation while we're waiting for the sign in to redirect. And I'm gonna log in with the JADAD user here. Give me just a moment. And then now notice we no longer have that message stating that we must be logged in because we are logged in. And at the top, you see that we have a sign out button now indicating that we are logged in. So if we click on proceed to payment, it's going to take us to Stripe checkout. And this is no cost to set up. And we see that this is just the name of the Stripe cluster, if you will, that I created, or project, sorry, not a cluster, the project that I created, but that could be changed, and all of this could be customized. I just hadn't got to it just yet. I want to create the core functionality first, and figured I can always come back and do these updates that just kind of make the experience better. But we're redirected to the Stripe checkout window, and then from here, you're asked to enter in an email. I'm just going to keep it simple and enter the same email that I used to sign in with. And then you select the payment method. We have Cash App and card available, and we also have the link option. And you can always add in more payment options as well based upon how you prefer to receive payments. But once the credit card information is entered, and I'll update the zip code, if we click pay and there's money in our fake account, it should redirect us to the success window. And in the success window, I captured the session, excuse me, and all of the pertinent Stripe information. That way it is unique to that customer and we can store it on the back end. And once you get redirected, we may add some form of graffiti animation just to kind of enhance this view a little bit and celebrate that you've placed the order and you're getting some yummy food from our restaurant. But from here, we get a thank you message. We get the order ID number, the status is paid, the items that we paid for. Here's the subtotal indicating that this isn't necessarily tax included, but this is the amount that we're going to collect and keep for us. And then we have the ability to either continue browsing food or we can view my orders. So if we go to view my orders, as you can see, I've done quite a bit of testing along the way. So there are several orders here. And if I did not complete out the order, you'll see that you don't have a paid status and it's actually saying pending. And we have the ability to cancel what's pending as well. One additional feature that I do want to add or update with this is that right now, if I click reorder, it takes us back to the home page, and notice that the cart is now cleared out as well, but it doesn't automatically populate that item inside of the order. So, if you go to like Uber Eats or something like that, you may not remember exactly everything you ate at the restaurant. Well, maybe if you don't eat out as frequently as I do, you probably do. But if you do eat out as frequently as I do, there's chances are you may not always remember what you had, but you may scroll through and be like, hey, you know what? We had the shrimp egg rolls last time and they were pretty good. Let's reorder that. If you click reorder, you would think that it'll automatically be in your cart and you can either continue shopping or check out. So I do need to update that and I will. But the good thing is that you no longer see the items inside of your cart that you previously ordered. So you're starting over. Once you pay for it, that order is complete and it is now transitioned out of your cart. So that was something that is pretty good. And like I said, all of this is server rendered. Nothing is done on the client except for the loading animation, even the models and things of that sort. For the most part, I was able to use Daisy UI and some of their legacy features to kind of give me the experience that I was looking for and minimize some of that client side code. So pretty excited about it and looking forward to adding more features here in just a second. So I think this evening, what I'm gonna look to get done is add an indicator here or maybe even here that just lets the user know whether we are open or not. So like right now, I have it hard coded that we're open until 8:30 p.m. and I'm in Eastern Standard Time in the United States. So right now here it's 9:48. So technically we're closed. And I probably should have a message when you go to websites now. It asks you to either schedule the pickup or delivery because we aren't available right now, and it could be an order that's waiting on us when we arrive to work the next day. But for right now, this will be suffice. But I want to add an indicator so the user doesn't have to check and see if we're open. They can automatically just see that by looking at the website and having an indicator right here or maybe even right here. And I also want to add some simple loading animation when we refresh the screen. That will require some client side code. And I think I'm going to have to probably use a little bit for a couple more components to give it some interactivity. But for the most part, like I said, all of the pages are going to be server rendered. Everything will be handled from the server perspective, unless we absolutely have to use some client side code. Uh, I know that I last stream I talked about um adding a Discord and I set it up. I just need to figure out a couple things with it. And for those that are interested in just connecting with me a little more frequently, um I'll have a Discord that you're more than welcome to join and when I'm off and we'll connect. And however Discord normally works, I had one from um, a boot camp that I went, a coding boot camp actually that I went to, and I did some interaction with it, but that was more so as a member. But now I want to set up one as the actual owner, and I know you have to do permissions and things of that sort. So I'm doing a little research on it first, but I plan to have it set up no later than Thursday, maybe Friday of this week. And when I do, I'll drop it for those that are interested as well. But with that said, I am going to go ahead and get started with the indicator that we want to set up on the website. So I think the first thing I'll need to do is determine where I would like to place it. And I think I'll just place it in the header next to the login button, login log out button, and it won't be anything too fancy, but it'll mirror the flow in the website, the flow in the build of the actual website that we have now. So let me go back to my other view, and inside of the components directory inside of UI, we are going to add a component or a file, which will be a component. I think I'll name this, I think we will name this store status.tsx, sorry. And this will be our conditionally rendered indicator that'll basically let us know if we are open or not. And this will be this will require some client side activity. So with next, we know we'll have to start with the use client directive, and we'll need a few imports to kind of help pull this thing off. The two front end hooks that we're going to need are use state and use effect. And then I want to have a few icons on the page as well, just to kind of add to the user experience. And I'm going to use F5 icons for this. So we'll go React F5. And the icons that I'm going to have are a clock, a check circle, and a X. Let's do an X circle. And then with this, we'll need to create a function. And this function is going to take in a couple of props. So we'll go export default function. And we'll name this function store status. What's going on, my friend? This is a full stack Next.js online ordering application. Basically, it gives you the ability to place an online order at a food restaurant, and you have the ability to either get it delivered or pick up. So what I'm looking to do now is I have the basic functionality set up where I seeded the database with products. You could place an order, you can customize the order, you can pay for the order with Stripe, and you get it added to your personal order history. So now I'm just going in and adding additional features that I didn't add initially. And eventually I'll have a video where I'll walk through the build of this, and maybe even take this to a potential client, showing them, hey, these are the things that I could do for you with SEO, admin database, the ability to track the order, the ability to kind of assign different roles. There's a store owner role or manager role, in addition to a support member role where a manager will have full capability to like see everything, and like the store team members will only have the ability to do certain things. So I'm gonna make it pretty fun and pretty interactive, and with the intent of being something that I can actually take to a client and they can use within their own establishment. But I figured it'd be fun to kind of build this in public, a little bit of accountability for me, and getting some feedback from those that want to stop by and check it out. But that's basically what I have. And if you want a demo or anything, man, let me know. I'll be happy to show it. But all of this is server rendered, Next.js, Postgres Vercel, or Postgres Neon, I guess it is, Prisma as the ORM, and then we have Stripe with checkout. That's basically the stack for this. One second here. All right, sorry about that. All right, so got a function named store status, and I need to pass in some props. So eventually I'll store this in a database, and in the admin dashboard, maybe the store manager will have the ability, or the store owner will have the ability to set the hours. I don't know if you want the team to be able to modify that. If you experience what I experienced, look, team members will close the store and won't care nothing about the business, but you know the owner gonna make sure, or the manager is gonna should at least make sure that everyone's there during the hours of operation. So we'll have a interface, and we'll name this store status props. And what we want to pass in are the open hours with a question mark. And this will be a number. And it will also pass in, if we pass in an open, we got to pass in close hour. And I put an S with a number. And that way we have the ability to kind of change that. Thanks, man. I appreciate it, brother. I appreciate it. That way we have the ability to kind of change that, and you could see it change dynamically. Well, that's the hope. That's what we're going to code, but that's ultimately what I want to do, so that if we're in the admin dashboard, we can click on the hours tab, or however I have it set up. And if you want to adjust the hours by day, you could do that. Maybe have a nice calendar view, and on Monday we're open from 11 to 8, Tuesday, blah blah blah, so on and so forth. So inside of this, inside of the function, we know we need to pass in the props, and we'll go, the open hour is going to be 11, and the close hour, I'm going to set that to 20 for 8 o'clock. So basically, and this is military time for those that might not be familiar with it. The opening hour, this is 11, the opening time is going to be 11 a.m. and then the closing time is going to be 8 p.m. All right. And that way we can get, and what I want to do is just have it show a message if it is past 8 o'clock and it is beyond the opening time. Obviously we're closed, but if it is before both times, then you know we're still closed. And if it is during those times, greater than or equal to, then we know that the store is open. So that's the logic that we're going to do. We're going to do some conditional rendering to get that accomplished. So first thing we'll need to do to get all that done is gain access to the state, to use state. We'll go use state. And what we want our state variable to support is the date. And the date that we'll need to having a state variable is current time. So we'll name it current time, and then we'll say set current time. Okay. Then we'll need use effect to kind of help us get that update of the store time. And the cool thing about this is it won't do any hard refreshes or anything. It'll basically just give us the update every so often that we set it. So we'll go with use effect, and we'll create a const name interval, and we'll set it equal to set interval. And then we want the current time. So we'll say set current time will be new date. And then I want the update to take place every minute. And in milliseconds, I think that is 60,000 milliseconds. And then inside of the use effect, we're going to return a clear interval, and we'll pass in interval inside of it. That way it will automatically return it. And of course, we know we need to pass or do the callback of an empty array with use effect. So with this simple logic, this is going to manage the current time and provide updates of that current time every 60 seconds. So it kind of gives a real time feel, if you will, with the website as the user is on it. So that's perfect. So now I need to create the logic. We need to create the logic to compare the times. Compare time logic. So with this, we'll create a const. And if I need to compare the time, I'll name it current hour because the store is going to be based upon the hour and we want to compare it by the hour, not necessarily the minute. It may not be a bad idea to do it by the minute to say, hurry, you got 20 minutes, 19 minutes, 18 minutes before we close. But for right now, I think this will be suffice. So we'll say current time is equal to, current hour is equal to current time. And we'll use the get hours method so that we can get the current hours or the current time. And then we'll create a const name is open just to compare, help if I spell it right, if we are open or not. So the way this logic will work is we'll say that if the current hour is greater than or equal to the open hour and current hour is less than the close hour, then we know we're open. Because what we're doing is we're comparing the hour to the opening hour and the closing hour. And we're just basically saying with a Boolean that if it is true, then we're open, and if it is false, then we're closed. Very simple. So now the fun part, now that we've got the logic out the way, now we got the fun part where we will have the return statement, and we'll look to return whether or not um, we're open and some form of a indicator back to the user that we are either open or we are closed. So let's start with a div, and this div will have a span inside of it. And basically what we want in the span is, so we can get something on screen, is open. If we are open, and we're doing a little more JavaScript here, we'll have a question mark and we'll pass the temporal literals and say open. That's gonna drive me crazy. Let me fix this. There we go. If it is open, we'll say open minus closes at, and this is just going to be the message to say that we open and close at what time. And this is what we'll be passing into this function, because this could change based upon holidays or a season that we want to stay open later. We just want to give a little bit of flexibility. And then we'll say closed opens at the same thing, and we'll put the open hour. That way the user will see that we're closed, but at least they'll know when we open and won't have to necessarily look down at the to calculate that themselves. It'll kind of be done for them. So let's go ahead and bring this into the header just to make sure that the logic works and that we get the functionality that we want. And I'll worry about the design of it in just a moment. So let me head to the header. And let me remember the header. This is the navigation. So let's go with, oh, actually, I want it right here next to the off navigation. So let's go opening store status. Let's go store status. So this one is hidden. That's why we don't see it. So let's put it here. There, we see store status right there. So now let's go ahead and import the store status component and utilize it. So we'll go import store status, and it should be coming from /UI / store status. And then I'm going to replace this store status with store status component, close it, and we see that it is closed, and we open at 11. What if we added AM and then PM? Oh, sorry, duh. I see that now. There we go. All right. And that works. And let me see what it looks like on the desktop. All right, so it's a little off there. Let me remove this text. You know what? I think I want it on the outside. So why don't I do div like this? Class name, we'll go inline block, and on large, we'll go hidden. So we'll save it. It looks fine there. All right, so we don't see it on the desktop now because we changed the code. So let me go back and add. Let's go div, and we'll bring in store status here. We probably see it twice. No, we don't. So then now let's look at it on the desktop. All right. You know what? I think I'll just go back with this. There we go. And on our large view, it's still there. Perfect. So let's do this next. Let's go ahead and style this store status a little bit, just to kind of give it a little bit of life. So with the div, we'll go class name, and we need to make this dynamic. So we'll pass in temporal literals. So we'll go flex, items centered. We'll give it a gap of 2, set the text to small. We'll set the font to medium. Give it a little padding on the X of 3, on the Y of 1. All right, looks pretty good. Let's go rounded, extra large, border. And we'll set that border color to neutral 200. And now we need to do a little bit of dynamic data or rendering. So we'll go is open. And if it is open, we want to show something. Otherwise, we want to show something else. So right now we are closed. So let's show that it's closed with amber. What's at the background to amber 300 maybe, and the text to amber 300. Yeah, I think that'll work. Actually, you know what? Let's see if the text looks like neutral. Yeah, this is just an indicator that it's closed. I think that works. If it's too bright, I could change it. What about text being 100? Yeah, it looks a little better. So now if it's open, I want to show a different color. We'll set the background to green 500 and the text to neutral 100. I probably could have put the text neutral right there. So now how would we change the hours of operation without having to go in and hard coding it? Well, that's where adding the props allows us to kind of be a little creative with this. So we'll go with open hour and close hour. We'll set the open hour to 11, and let's just say we don't close until 2300 or 23. We'll click save, and then now you notice it updates that we close at 11 p.m. now. So it's showing green because we're still open, but we can always change that to be whatever we need it to be based upon the hours of operation for the business or whatever may be going on. Someone called out, who knows, things happen. But this is perfect. So I think I'll add a go ahead and add in the clock indicators as well, just to kind of give it a little bit more than what it already has. Um, let me place those. Actually, I think I'll place them above the span, inside of between the div and the span. So we'll go is open. We'll go fi check circle, and then we'll go fi x circle. Perfect. So then there we see it there. And I think I'm going to change this a little bit. Well, that could work. And then if it is closed, it will be. I think this will take care of the close. Okay, so it is showing that we're closed, and you have the X 21 as it is. That's 9. 22 is 10. 23 is 11. There. Okay. All right. Just wanted to make sure that the rendering was working properly or as I intended. So perfect. So that is a quick, simple way to conditionally render whether we are open or not, and just give the user some form of an indicator of that, so they'll be aware of it without having to look down and check their time on their own, which ain't the end of the world. It's not like a something a user can't do, but if you can make it easier for the user and give them a better experience, that's ultimately our responsibility as a developer. So we want to make sure we could do that. So the next thing I think I want to do is maybe add some simple loading text animation to the hero or to the banner text here. close this out. So right now on reload, you don't really get any changes there. And that's Next.js coming in clutch with some of that uh, caching, built-in caching that it has, because nothing has changed with the data. I'm not asking it to go back and check the data, so it's basically just going to continue to render this exact same content because nothing has changed with it, and that's what we want. So I'm not complaining about it, but I think from a user perspective, typically you see some form of eye-catching animation. I'm not looking to do anything that's going to bog it down or turn the project into something that it's not, or give it more client-side activity when that's not ultimately what I'm after. But I think I will add something simple here. And I want to say I don't even really have to use, for what I'm looking for, I don't think I'm gonna necessarily have to use frame of motion, anything like that. I could just use a simple timeout with use effect and use state, and that'll probably be suffice for me. So let me mess around with that now. We'll go to, close this out, and then we'll close the store status out. And I think this is in the hero. We'll go to the actual hero component. And this is currently just static, well, not static, server-side rendered. But of course, if we bring in use effect and use state, we'll need to add make this a client component, which is not going to necessarily hurt anything, because this is just text on the screen, not necessarily anything that's being rendered from the DB, although this could be saved in the database as well, but it's not that serious. So we'll mark this as use client, and then we'll go ahead and import from React. We'll bring in use effect and use state. And it's not going to be much that we need to do with this. Really, we are going to add a state variable, and what we want to capture is we're going to capture the actual whether we want to show this text or not. And it's going to be very, very simple. So we'll go show or set show. And basically, we're just going to use effect to delay the showing of the text, and the set timeout API interval. More JavaScript for those that don't believe in learning the fundamentals. I'm telling you, it makes your coding experience so much easier and so much better. But we'll go with use effect, and then make sure I don't forget to pass in the empty array. And we'll go const timeout is going to be equal to set timeout. Man, let's go with set timeout, and we'll go set show. At that point, we want to change it to true, and we want it to be a slight delay. So I'm gonna go with 200. I don't think I needed to make that async anyway. Nope. And we were just getting an error message that this function cannot be async since it is a client component now. So we're going to return clear timeout. Perfect. And then now the only thing we'll need to do is dynamically pass this in so that um, all we'll need to do from there is basically wrap this and have it delayed up to 2 seconds when we refresh the window. So just thinking, do I want to put this inside of the text or the actual hero component itself? Um, I think this should be okay. Or would it make more sense if I pass it into the actual title? I think I'm going to pass it into the title and the metadata because I'll have a little more control over it that way versus doing the entire thing at once. I think it'll look a little better if I staggered it. So why don't I do this? I'll remove the state variables from the hero. We'll copy this, the joys of refactoring, and we'll bring this into the hero title. And we'll go use client. We'll go with use effect, use state. And I actually can just copy all of this, save it, so I don't get any errors. And then I'll pass it back in inside of this function. Let me refresh my window, make sure no one's yelling at me. Perfect. And that is all good. So now let's update this H1 a little bit so that we can dynamically pass in the data that we're looking for. So I'm just going to copy this. Copy this again so I don't have to retype it all back out. And we'll go, actually we could just copy this in, paste this in rather, and then dynamically pass in some information. We'll go show. If we do show, we want to show something. Otherwise, when it is not show, we want something else. So if we showing it, I want to set the opacity, O-P-A-C-I-T-Y, to 100. And we'll say translate on the Y to be 0. And then when we're not, we'll set the opacity to 0. And we'll go translate on the on the Y of 6. All right, so now let's look at this because I have it hidden on smaller devices. Just figured that you probably didn't want to see that on a smaller device, but on a desktop, it's a little different. So let's go back to the desktop view. And you notice that the title Dockside Bikes disappeared momentarily when everything else on the screen pretty much remains static because that's the animation. I know that's a little cheesy. I may go with frame of motion tomorrow, but I think this will be suffice for right now. And you know what? I could also add something else to it to give it a little more of a transition feel. Let's go with transform. Transition all duration 700. Now let me check it out. That's a little better. See it kind of coming from the bottom up. I like that. I like that a little better. May still go with a frame of motion because it's going to give you a little more control and it'll just be better, just to be quite frank with you. But I think this works for right now. Now let's update this metadata next. And maybe I could change this to be this banter, but without the background. Excuse me. So that is the hero metadata. What did I have in? That's the bullets. No, it should be in the metadata. Okay, I have bullets listed there. So you get a slight delay there. Let me look at this. Yeah, that'll work. I'm okay with that. With this.